What's up, everybody?
How are you doing, Josh?
Doing all right.
All right.
This one's going to be a little more important than the rest of them that we've done, I would say.
Yeah, we're going to embark on a special few episodes of the 615 podcast.
Yeah.
It involves my greatest hero, I guess, which is my dad. But we're going to have him come in and just talk about his experiences with the Vietnam War.
Yeah.
And getting deployed, dealing with family stuff, and then what transpired over there, which a bunch of you know already that he was a prisoner of war.
Right.
And just having to deal with that. But I thought it was this would be a good time for him to come on and just do his thing and just explain everything that went on over there.
Yeah.
And, so.
Huge respect for him and everything that he went through and your guys' family. I know it probably doesn't come across as much as you look at it as, yeah, that's my dad, whatever. The rest of us, we look at it, it's a huge deal. He's a hero in all of our lives.
Yeah. Yeah. And in my, so, and so the older I get, the more I appreciate it, obviously. That's what happens when you get older.
Yeah.
But I wasn't aware of any of that as a little toddler when he was over there.
Right.
As I grew up, I had to listen. He had to go give speeches all over the place, and it never really sunk in until I was more of an adult and got to hear him explain what was going on, when I had the appreciation of the things he was going through.
Yeah.
And the things that we were going through.
Yeah, and your mom went through. And,
yeah.
So this one will be an important one. Hopefully you guys enjoy it.
Yes.
It's going to be broken into multiple segments, just because there's a lot to tell.
There is.
That's not a short story.
And even what we're going to be going through is still
Not
falling
even half.
short of what he would be able to tell. But just want to get him to. I want this for everybody out there, but almost more importantly for posterity with his family, my kids and whatnot. So
and grandkids and
yeah.
That's the luxury of the new wave of technology, is that we can capture this, and hopefully that lives on for a long time.
Yep. So it's all about Frederick C. McMurray, world's greatest fighter pilot eventually. But I want all you guys to hear about his story.
Yeah. Looking forward to it. Thanks, guys. Talk to you soon.
Thanks.
Yeah, buddy.
It always makes me laugh doing that. We did not write this song. We got our drinks. We got beer close by.
What's up, everybody?
Welcome to the 615 podcast.
When you're watching this, please like, subscribe. We need the subscribers. We're getting a whole lot of likes and a whole lot of watch hours, but we need the subscribers. So please do that. It helps us out a huge amount. So we'd appreciate it. Thanks, guys.
Wouldn't you agree, Dad?
I very much agree.
Well, we got a, in my eyes, very distinguished guest. And
it's not just in your eyes.
Oh,
It's in all eyes.
Everybody likes him better than me. This is my dad, Fred McMurray. Fred, say hi to everybody.
Well, hello, everybody. They asked me to come over here.
But anyhow, we just thought we'd have you on, Dad. You can call him Fred. I'll call him Dad. Mm-hmm. But have you on just to give a little bit of a, I guess, education on what it's like to be a war hero. And just have a conversation about what you kind of went through for not just in Southeast Asia, but just through your life. You had a really long career in the Air Force.
Fred is a very distinguished individual.
Yeah.
Well, we
look up to him a lot.
Yeah.
And I appreciate that, and I know that, and that's meaningful to me, but I had a hell of a lot of fun. And through my years in the Air Force, John was there with me for most of that. And
I'm sorry about that.
so I had a lot of fun. I enjoy sharing some stories. Some things I went through were difficult, but made them through, and everything has worked out great for me.
You came up pretty much unscathed.
Mm-hmm.
It's not too bad. A couple little lingering things. But,
I don't know if I'd call it unscathed.
Well, yeah,
but
yeah. Not totally unscathed.
Yeah.
But yeah, we'll learn a little bit about that. But Dad was nice enough to bring us over a little bit of a beverage, but there's a little bit of information, or I guess more of a backstory behind what we're all drinking out of.
Let's hear the story between all of our 3 cups, Fred.
What I wanted to have a toast here to you guys and show my appreciation for inviting me in here. For Josh here, I brought over an Avondale glass for him to do this toast with. I really enjoy golfing with Josh. Done a lot more, done camping and fly fishing, and but anyway,
we've had some good times.
And for him,
Some really good
I brought this Woodford Reserve. That's a good bourbon. This particular bottle I got last year in May when I got to go fly a T-38 down in Texas. It was a hoot. That was really fun. But anyway, that came from that. And then John's is the St. Andrews there. And John and I had a wonderful experience golfing the old course at St. Andrews together.
We did, and we'll get into a little bit of that too.
And then John and I are drinking some 18-year-old Macallan. It's fine. And this old piece of shit here, it's kind of a beat-up old drinking cup. And there's a really important story for me. We'll probably talk about this later. And I'm going to take a drink here in a minute, and it's the first time I've drank out of this cup since in 1973. And the last time I drank out of this cup, I was a prisoner of war in Hanoi.
Yeah, that's crazy.
Yeah.
So anyway, let's toast to our friendship.
You bet.
Yeah. Cheers.
Here's to you, Fred.
Cheers,
John?
Josh. Right in front of you, Dad.
Sorry, Fred.
All right. Not bottoms up, but. Ooh, that is good. I haven't had a good Macallan like that in a long time.
That is good.
Probably since your house. Which, real quick, and we'll get back to what we want to talk about. Quick story about some Macallan we had. Every once in a while, you drink a really nice one. He likes his single malts. He had a 25-year Macallan over at his house. We were over there for a Christmas gathering. Dad was pouring some drinks of it, and he knocked one of the glasses over. But waste not, want not. Dad immediately got the glass out of the way and sucked all the Macallan off the countertop.
As you should.
Good job. Good job saving all that money.
25-year-old Macallan is really special stuff.
Yeah.
Yeah, yeah. And then in other times that you're another drinking story, with the Basil Hayden up camping.
Oh, yeah.
We were finishing up.
That was one of the best stories. I still tell that story to this day.
We had a hike-in, camping, fishing trip, and my dad, he's really smart like me, and he decided he didn't want to pack this extra bit of Macallan or Basil Hayden in the bottle.
There was probably a quarter, less than a quarter.
It was a few shots.
An eighth of the bottle left.
So he decided he was just going to down the whole thing, so he wasn't packing this bottle full of booze in his backpack. Well, instead of having it in the booze, he just transferred that amount of weight into his stomach.
And chugged it.
And then he was hammered at 8 a.m.
hiking out of there. So anyway, enough about that. We'll get to some funny stories that we've had.
Yeah.
But anyway, I don't know if you want to kind of dive into your experiences and where you want to start. I don't know if you want to start because, you left from Seymour Johnson, where I was born, North Carolina. And you were what? You were notified, and when were you notified that you were going to be deployed over to Southeast Asia?
Yeah, it was in early April of 1972.
April 7. Okay.
We were in middle of an ORI attack eval.
What's that?
Not attack eval, it's just an ORI. And what that is an Operation Readiness Inspection.
Uh-huh.
It's the biggest inspection that an Air Force wing has to go through, and they evaluate mainly on flying and ability to generate sorties and do all that stuff, just to make sure that the wing is combat ready. We were in the middle of this, and Al Thomas with my front seater. By the way, at that time, I was a back seater. I was a captain, and we call them WISOs, or Weapon Systems Officers. So I was flying in the back seat of the Phantom F4. And Al Thomas and I thought we better go to the bar and have a couple beers. We were going to be flying late the next day on some sorties. So we thought we ought to have a couple beers, and we're over there.
As you should.
A couple.
Al
and
Thomas.
Real quick, guys, we're gonna pop up some pictures as we go throughout this podcast. So if you see us looking at the phone, we're gonna pop those up so you guys can see them as we're talking. So
So Al Thomas and I, really good guy. He is still alive, but having trouble with Alzheimer's.
Oh, that's too bad.
Love him dearly. So anyway, Al and I are at the bar, and in come some of the inspectors. So Al's had a couple drinks, and he goes up. We're both captains. He goes up and says to this full colonel, "Don't you have an idea what the fuck's going on in the world?" And this colonel looks at him. He says, "We've got a real war going on." He says, "I came back from the war in Vietnam just a few months ago, and here we are doing all this bullshit, And so I says, Al, and I kind of pulled him away and stuff. So we kind of moved away from the inspectors, and I thought, oh shit. So finally went back, not that late because we're going to fly the next day. And the next morning when I was heading to work, first of all, I didn't head out the door until I got a call from Rudy Zuberbuehler, who lives down in Meridian, Idaho. Super guy. We've got quite a story together. Anyway, he's my flight commander, and he called me and says, "Fred, you got to come in." And I said, "Zub, I can't come in. I'm flying tonight. I'm flying later." He says, "Come in right now." I said, "Yes, sir." And I says, "Judy, I got to get dressed and go down to the squadron. I don't know what's going on." And as I walked out, I looked down at the paper, and it says, "North Vietnamese attack South Vietnamese with divisions of fighters, and they're rolling tanks in." And I thought, oh, shit, what's that about?
Yeah.
And got down, and they notified us that we were going to deploy in 3 days over to the Vietnam area. We didn't even know where we were going to.
You got 3 days notice?
And 3 days notice, and they said, get home, pack your mobility bags, and get back here in 3 hours or something like that.
Jeez.
And we will deploy until you get everything ready together at home, because the night before we deployed, you're going to have to be in our barracks and not around the family, get a good night's sleep, and we're going to take off, and we'll find out where we're going down the road.
And at this point, is John born at this point?
He is, and he was, so that
cute
was...
little fella.
In,
I beg to differ.
That was in April of 72, so John was born in 70, so he was like...
almost two.
Almost two.
I turned 2 on... Up. What date did I turn 2 on, Josh?
June 15th.
Okay.
6/15. So to bring it all back together.
When were you born? What's the date of your...
83, Fred.
I mean the number. I want to try and
6/15. Yeah, no.
Yeah, so both these guys are 6/15.
Yeah.
So I felt stupid earlier when I asked, what's this 6:15 mean? And I know both these guys were born on that day. So.
Yeah.
So I left, and I guess back to the story. I got home and to have lunch, and Judy's standing cooking, my wife Judy, over the stove and has some soup going, and she's kind of just got her head down, and she's not saying a word.
Yeah.
And I says, "You heard, huh?" She said, "Yes."
Oh, really?
Uh-oh. She already knew ahead of time.
She heard through the grapevine from the wives' club or whoever. And so and I said, "Well, we're going to have to talk about it, but I've got to eat a quick lunch." Get back down there, and
that's never good when your wife finds out before you tell her.
That happens in the Air Force. But anyway, so got the mobility stuff done, got back, and Judy and I talked about it, and I said, we're heading out on orders for 30 days. Supposedly could come back in 30 days, but it's open-ended. We don't know. And we're pretty close with our families back here in northern Idaho, so we decided it was best that the kids and Judy head this way. So we set them up for flying out of there. I headed back, got the mobility stuff done, got back, got everything packed up, had a flight out the next day, going out of Raleigh-Durham.
Did they fly out back home before you left, or did they see you out first? I wanted her and the kids out of town right away, because if they stayed there, I was going to be gone taking care of all kinds of things to getting ready to go. Yeah.
So put them on an airplane, and it was so becoming. We liked popular music and still do. And when we were, those days, we just walked in with everybody. There was no checking anywhere. And so we were down at the gate, and it was just about time for them to board. And the song "Leaving on a Jet Plane" came on over the...
Wow.
And
that's crazy.
Just sent chills up and down our spine. And both Judy and I were crying. Gave Judy and the kids big hugs, and off they went. And I was back to Seymour Johnson.
Back to business.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And so we got all that done, and then we were deploying out of there, and I may get these days a little wrong. I think we left on the 6th of April, something like that. But anyway, so then we had to go into get into sleep there at the barracks, and next morning we got up and did a briefing to find out where we were going, and they said, okay, we got first leg is departing here from Seymour Johnson, and you're going to land at Hickam,
which is Hawaii
from North Carolina. And we all says, you got to be shitting us.
You're going, hell yeah. All right,
estimate is approximately about 10-hour flight, and sitting in a
these aren't first class
like here
recliners,
right?
Kind of what I'm sitting right now, and
hey, those are real comfortable.
I don't have that much room.
Yeah.
So anyway,
so
we had to shake our heads about that, and so what?
Oh, it's so you guys took off from Seymour Johnson, and you flew to Hickam in Hawaii.
Yep.
You're going to have to
hours.
refuel. How many times do you have to refuel on something like that? Which you do in the air. You don't get to land and stretch your legs. You're doing that in the air. No, we're
airborne the whole time. What we did is we launched and had guys out of the central United States came out and joined up with us. And then we just kind of cycled on and off and did a lot of refuelings. And that was also good just because it kept the pilots awake. Yeah. So that you're active and doing something. So we just kept topping off and on the tankers and off and flying along. And then when we hit the West Coast, we were escorted out from the West Coast. These were all KC-135s, and they stayed with us, getting about halfway to Hickam, and Hickam had sent out more 135s to pick us up and haul us into Hawaii. One quick thing about when we taxied out and took off, the guy that was our squadron commander was DC Vest, and he was a fighter pilot's fighter pilot. I loved that son of a bitch. He was, okay, I got to regress once in a while. Back, I was fairly new in the squadron, and DC Vest was our operations officer, and Judy was due with John. And I wanted to. The squadron was going to deploy, and I didn't want to deploy because I wanted to be there when John was born. I didn't know that it was going to be John, but we didn't know if it was going to be a boy or a girl. Back
if he'd have known better, he wouldn't want to be there.
So I went to into DC Vest, and I said, "Sir, I want to stay here. I don't want to go on this deployment."
Yeah.
And he says, "Okay, but that little shit better be born when we get back." And I thought, oh, God. And when, in fact, they were coming back, I was at the squadron, and I thought, oh, God, they're coming up. Oh, Judy has it. And she did. And so Judy they wheeled her out and from having the baby, and I really I love my two daughters, but God, I wanted a son. And when when they rolled her by, she's heading into her room. She says, John is doing fine for her.
That's pretty cool.
I felt so cool.
Back in the days when you could actually have the surprise and go.
Yes.
Mm-hmm. Oh, now I know what it is.
When I got back to the squadron, DC Vest says, "Okay, you're lucky, young man." And I just had to say that because that was kind of
thanks,
fun.
DC. There we go.
So we just hung on with the tankers getting to Hickam.
Yeah.
And this is a much longer story, so I'm going to skip out some stuff. So we hit Hickam that night, stayed the night there. I will mention that I just didn't sleep very well at all, and got up having breakfast.
Yeah, I was going to say I wouldn't imagine so.
And I thought I was going to be real tired and really sleep, and I was concerned about being nervous / scared of going into combat. And over breakfast, sit and talk with some guys that hadn't been there either. And I said, "Did everybody sleep well?" And a lot of people didn't. And I said, I was concerned that I was nervous. I don't think so. I guess it's just time zones. And everybody says, yeah, we wouldn't be afraid.
Nobody's going to admit that.
We're not going to be afraid of that shit.
Bullshit. We're not scared.
So off we went. And then next night we spent at Guam. Oh, another thing that happened at Hickam, when we came out to our airplanes, our F-4s were brand new F-4Es. They looked beautiful. And they had tiger teeth painted on the front of them. Our maintenance guys, DC Vest, got them to do it. We didn't when we left from home base.
They did that in Hickam?
Yeah.
Wow.
They didn't want us, the guys back home didn't want us to look like warmongers. Well, that's what we wanted to be. So when we walked,
was that frowned upon when you were like, nobody's going out painted, but do it on your way there?
Well, that's going to be part of the story after we get there.
Fair enough.
And we had these tiger teeth, and it looked so mean, so tough. We loved it.
Yeah.
So off we went. We flew. We spent the next night in Guam. And then out of Guam, we didn't know when we got airborne out of Guam where we were going. They did narrow it down to Thailand. So we weren't. That was good news, that we weren't going to be flying out of Vietnam. It was going to be Thailand, and we wanted to do that much better deal.
Mm-hmm.
And partway there, we got notified we're going to Ubon Ratchathani. And
partway from Hickam after you took off? From Hickam on the way into Thailand to tell you Ubon?
No, after we from Guam. We flew from Hickam to Guam.
That's right. That's
and
right.
we were out. Yeah, we were about halfway there. They hadn't decided because they're deploying guys from all over the states. And guys, most of them, some of them were going into Da Nang in Vietnam. Other ones going into Tak Ly and different places in Thailand. And we got Ubon, which was the best deal of all.
Good.
So on we went into Thailand, and that's getting their story. That's a long story, but
well, it was a long ways to get there.
Yeah,
it was.
No shit.
Yeah. It was. So it was awesome to get there, and there we were, and we landed, went to base ops, and we're watching and listening to airplanes take off. They just sounded tougher. It was just, they were taking off mad or mean, the engines. It was just a whole different thing.
Wasn't training anymore.
And then and they had an airplane taxiing fairly close to base ops. And we asked why that one was coming here, and he says, the backseater took a bullet through the canopy and got him in the head. So
shit.
They're bringing a ambulance over here to pick him up. Yeah. And I thought, holy shit.
Yeah. You're like, hey guys, can you leave that part of the story out for us? Yeah. Make us feel a little bit better.
Yeah. Wow.
Yeah.
Huh.
Jesus.
So
I can't imagine. People are so much tougher back in the day than they are us wussies today.
Well, yeah. Yeah.
You looking at that, you tell us that story and be like, fuck that, I want to go home.
This is a case in point. I was thinking about this, how a bunch of a wussy I am. I was thinking about, so what was the weather like when you showed up? So, you came to North Carolina. It's kind of humid there, but probably not in April. But in the summers, it would get humid there. So, you go from there, you go to Hawaii, Guam, then to Ubon. Was it like all humid and nasty and stuff, or was it?
I thought North Carolina was kind of humid, and I thought when I first got there to Ubon that it was more humid, but that was nothing. Man, the monsoons in the springtime started coming, and it got really humid. It was really humid.
That's when monsoon season is then.
Yeah. So
you take off in that kind of stuff? Is it like there's monsoons? Doesn't matter. We're flying missions.
Well, we're not going to take off in dangerous weather. You got thunderstorms overhead and stuff like that. We usually get off, get around them, work around them. So sometimes the weather canceled, and sometimes we're on standby, especially going up into North Vietnam. And if we wanted to have a not straight shot, but don't have to fight the weather too much. There's other stuff we'd be fighting on the way up. So, and when we first arrived there, we were not flying in North Vietnam yet.
Oh, that's right. Yeah.
Yeah.
All right. Sorry, Fred. We cut you off a little bit there, but let's jump right back into it.
Well, I was talking about the weather. Well, you were actually talking about the weather. And but then how long between when you got there and you flew your very first mission? But I don't know if you want to talk about that. You had mentioned something about DC Vest and what your mission ended up being over there, and kind of him and the wing commander.
Yeah, so we're going to have to spend a couple days just getting used to Ubon. So we're going to have the rest of that day off and the following day off. And so DC went up to talk to the wing commander and says, "Sir, we're here, 336 TAC Fighter Squadron ready to go. And he says, well, Colonel Vest, this is how it's going to be. Number one thing, you get those damn tiger teeth off your F4s right now. And the guys there at Ubon,
is right.
They had F4Ds, the older models, still really good airplanes, but not brand new like ours. And one nice thing about the F4E, it had a nose gun in it, 20 millimeter Gatling gun out of the nose. And the guys there just drooled at it.
Because the other ones did not have a gun. They decided they're going to start just doing missiles.
If you strafed in the old F4s, you had to bolt it onto the bottom of the airplane.
Yeah.
So anyway, he says, so number one, Colonel Vest, you get those off. And number two is I'm going to divide up your squadron. We're going to fill out our other squadrons here, and then I'm going to ship some out to some of the different bases. Some are going to go to Da Nang, and some are going to Tak Lee. And I really learned something from DC Vest on that and a lot of other things. But you fight for something that is really important, and you give in on things that are not so. And so DC Vest really wanted those tiger teeth, but that's not important. And he says, okay, sir, I'll get the tiger teeth off this afternoon, and we are not splitting up the squadron. You can give us any mission you want, but by damn, we're going to fly as a squadron. And DC Vest went and got a hold of, through the channels of Tactical Air Command back in the States, and the wing commander got a hold of the Commander 4-star out in that area. They butted heads, and they let us fly together.
Oh, that's good.
They brought DC Vest back in, and he says, stand by, I'll decide what you're going to be flying.
That's crazy that they went through that going into it.
It was.
You have to imagine these guys have all been together, training and everything else. Why in the hell would you go in and go, hey, by the way, you're splitting up now?
Yeah.
That makes no sense.
I didn't like that at all.
Yeah.
I just got done watching Band of Brothers. I hadn't watched before, and
that's great.
You can imagine splitting those guys up. You guys are brothers. You're sticking together.
For example, John, I like you more than I lead on to. If I'm going to fight next to you, or I'm going to fight next to Joe Blow down the street, you can guarantee who I'm fighting harder for. That's my old, why would you do that?
Yeah.
And what you said was important there, but also if you are used to fighting together, you know what the other guy's going to do.
Exactly.
And so we as air crews, and that was unique because the squadrons over there were continually filled on a regular basis. So some guy flies out today going home after his tour, another guy's coming in, and the squadron's kind of mixed up like that.
Yeah.
Well, we really knew how each other worked, and so we flew together as crews. Al and I were an awesome crew, and so it ended up being that way.
Yeah.
And so
that's awesome that he fought that battle for you, though.
Yeah.
And he did. He was not a bashful man. And I learned that over and over. And so we started out a couple days later, and I went out and flew in the back seat of the guy that was our he was our ops officer at the time, Dan Blake, super guy. And went out and flew this mission, and I was scared to death. By God, this is my first combat mission. We went out, in my mind, the whole world was going to try to shoot at us.
Everybody's aiming at you.
Yeah.
And Dan was an experienced combat guy, super guy, and we went out and dropped some bombs on something that wasn't too important, I don't think, and came back. And God, I survived.
To those people that got hit, it was.
I'm guessing it may or may not have been, but
man, I felt so lucky to be alive, and nobody shot at us. Didn't see anybody shooting at anybody, and we hit a questionable target. So, but I was much more scared then. A few months down the road, when I was facing SAMs and MiGs and all this AAA, I don't think I was near as scared as I was on that first mission.
Oh yeah. That's funny. You could probably just flew up the block or something, hit a target range or something.
Yeah.
Yep.
So that was your first mission.
First mission down in South Vietnam, and we did that. So that was early April. Yeah.
Oh, well, real quick, sorry. When you are deployed over there, you're told beforehand how many missions you're going to fly? Or you just said you're going to be there for 6 months and you're
X
just going to be
amount
flying?
of time, and then you're out.
They told us our orders were for a 30-day deployment.
Oh, that's right.
And they'll let us go home whenever. We had no idea.
Isn't that crazy when you actually think about it? So obviously a lot of those are extended.
Mm-hmm.
In a normal war, how many 30-day deployments go out?
Hardly at all. The Vietnam War had been pretty standard, and what it was for the air crews, you would go fly. So you deploy, you just go permanent station, and you're there for a year, unless you're flying over North Vietnam.
Right.
And then you have 100 sorties. After you get 100 sorties over North Vietnam, they're going to send you home. But they weren't flying over North Vietnam when I went over there.
Right.
So for a normal person that went in for a tour, he went in for a year. And so that was just kind of how they cycled everybody through. With us, we just didn't know. And they said, stand by, you'll find out.
Yeah.
So you were flying most of your missions early on, or all the missions early on, not over North Vietnam. They were over South Vietnam?
They were all in South Vietnam. We had a couple big battles going on for towns. We would take off and go out, and An Loc was a town, and one day the bad guys would be outside of An Loc and the good guys inside, so we're dropping bombs around the town, and we go back the next day, the bad guys are in, the good guys out, so just vice versa. And we would do turns. We'd fly in and land at a base that was close by. We'd drop our bombs, land, and I don't know why it was a big deal. We ran into the base operations, and we got a piece of cake. And we shoveled down a piece of cake, went out, they reloaded our bombs, we took off again, dropped bombs again, and then headed home.
Did you tell them, like, hey, can you make it McAllen's instead of fucking cake?
And for anybody who's watching or listening, you, as you mentioned, you flew the F4. I'll throw up a picture of what the F4 is. Most people know, but it's probably it's one of the coolest looking planes in the history of aviation.
Yeah.
When you look at
awesome.
that thing, it's so cool. You probably can't see it, but it's right here. By the way, these shirts we're wearing.
I know, you fuckers. I'm feeling real out of place. I should have at least wore like my American flag shirt or something.
Well, so these shirts are given at different reunions that they go to.
Yeah.
This one, and you'll have to tell the story about the color here. But
it is a good story, by the way.
It's not it's gold. Some fools think it's yellow. It's gold.
Okay.
Yeah. Well, so I have some photos of the 50th real reunion. in Bowling Green, Kentucky. Hundreds of people, river rats, in their flight suit or their party suits. Basically, it's a flight suit, but they're special colors. And then if I show anybody that picture, like, who's the guy in the yellow? Which is you. Right? Try to tell them it's not yellow, it's gold. How'd that come about?
Well, we'd been at Ubon for a while, and we decided we wanted to get party suits because all these other guys, all these different squadrons had their party suits.
What's a party suit used for?
Partying.
But it's a big.
John, you just explained a lot with that question.
So it's not a coat and tie suit. It's a flight suit, which, if people don't know, a flight suit, they would wear them flying.
Yeah.
It's like a big onesie.
And it is.
And they're fucking badass.
Yes, they are.
We would wear them to party over there, and I'll talk about that party in a minute, but otherwise we didn't, and the guys were going to the River Rats parties back in the States, and they'll have one night's a party suit party, and that's just really have fun.
Yeah.
And then the next night is going to be more formal attire, and you really have fun.
Yeah.
So anyway, and so Al Thomas was real involved in, number one, getting us the River Rats, number two, getting us party suits. So we had a get together, and there at Ubon, one of the squadron's colors was black. Oh, that's evil.
Tough looking.
One of the squadron's colors was blue, and I can't remember the other one. So we had to get together, and old DC Vest wasn't in there. And so we got talking about these party suits we're going to have. And this is in the 70s, so we wanted to have flared pants. And so we decided that we wanted to get kind of a cool color. We wanted either dark blue or light blue or black. And to honor our squadron colors, the inseam on our flared pants would be gold.
Right.
So I got down to black and dark blue. So this was the vote coming in. And in comes DC Vest. And we explained it to him. And he says, okay, this is how it is. If you fuckers are too embarrassed to wear your squadron colors, I don't want one of those. If you're too embarrassed to wear gold party suits, and besides that, I'm not a fucking hippie. I don't want it flared. Oh, Jesus. And he walked out the door, and we went, oh,
well,
no.
shit.
Well, God.
So we're not fighting that one.
So we got gold party suits, and we love them.
Yeah. That's awesome.
Oh, yeah. Yeah, so...
okay. I'm talking DC Vest. You want to hear a DC Vest, a real fighter pilot story?
Yeah.
Hell yeah.
Okay. So we're flying these missions down in South Vietnam. The rest of Ubon has started flying in North Vietnam. Oh, here we go. We got the things up there. And so they're going up, and they're having SAMs and MiGs and all kinds of AAA. Things are starting to get exciting. We're going, woo. And something new they started doing up in North Vietnam was flying chaff escort. And what chaff is they'll have a row of airplanes up front that are spewing out tinsel. It's like tinsel off a Christmas tree that comes out the back, and that floods their scopes, and they can't see the guys coming in behind them. And so the F4s carrying bombs can fly behind that chaff. It doesn't hurt going into the engines, and hitting the targets better. So they're deciding this chaff's pretty good. The only problem is those SAMs and AAA on their radars can't see the guys that are dropping bombs, but guess what's up in front of all that chaff? F4s with their shiny little asses just pointing at us, and so they came back, and all these air crews from Ubon were bitching and complaining about flying this chaff escort. So the wing commander calls DC Vest back in, and he says, "Okay, Vest, I got a mission for you."
Oh, because DC said I'll do whatever mission.
So we took over. We were going to take over chaff, and we hadn't done that yet, but that was coming soon. So here's a mission I'd like to talk about. This war story. So, it starts the night before. Somebody decided the squadron ought to go for pizzas, and they had a pizza parlor over in Thailand, just off the base, and
it's probably shitty pizza.
So it
have like mice and bats on it.
Well, there's a trick to that. It's real connoisseurs just drink as much beer as you can before you go there.
There you go.
Yeah.
So,
well played, Fred.
So we went down there, and so we're drinking some beers, and I'd been pissed back. I was pissed about some missions that I was back in while we were dropping in South Vietnam. They decided we needed more sorties, they meaning the pencil counters back in the United States, or somebody thought we needed more sorties. So they says, well, instead of carrying 8 bombs out to bomb a target, we need 8 bombs on that target, we figured, to destroy it. We're going to send you out with 4 bombs. You come back and land, we'll load up 4 more, and you go out, drop 4 more bombs. I thought, that is so
the fuck
stupid.
Does that do? Yeah,
I'm going to get in that target area and somebody's going to shoot at me twice.
Yeah.
And so I had really been.
I'm sure you weren't the only one.
I was upset.
No.
Yeah.
So there we are out eating pizza, and I'm pissing and moaning about the Vietnam War, and this is how we're doing, and and DC Fest says, "You fucking weak dick." He says, "If you're too much of a pussy to be, you're pissing him." And I says, "Listen, I'm over here and I'm flying my ass off, and I'm so mad, and if you can't take that, you're a weak dick, man." I just called Colonel Vest a weak dick. So a couple of guys grabbed me and dragged me out of there and threw me into bed.
Did you ask him if Jane Fonda came out with that fucking idea?
Yeah. Jane Fonda's
Yeah.
So I get up the next day and I headed into the scheduling and looking, and I saw Al, and he says, "Well, Fred, you remember last night?" I says, "Yeah."
Unfortunately.
And he says, "Look whose wing we're on," and there's DC Vest. I thought, oh shit. So DC Vest and this other really good guy, and Al and I on his wing. I thought, oh, I'm going to hear about this. So we went into the flight briefing. Colonel Vest gives his regular professional briefing and doesn't say a word. And I says, okay. And launch off. We're going after some target down in South Vietnam. No big deal. And all of a sudden we get a call over the radio. Says, I forget, Ratch Flight, you got a new target. And they give it to us, and it's of a Route Pack 1. The Route Packs are North Vietnam.
Oh.
It's Route Pack 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. 5 and 6 are up in the that part. And so we're going up to Route Pack 1. And we all thought, whoa, first counter, up in North Vietnam, first time up there.
Yeah.
So we head up, and as upset as I was last night at DC Fest, I'm thanking God I'm on his wing.
Yeah.
And we get a hold of a fast vac, and it's an F4, F4Es. They're using our E's. They really like them. And the call sign's Wolf. And so this is a Wolf vac. And so we get in the target area, and he said, "Okay, stay away. Don't get too close here." He said, "I have, and I think there's a real good chance this is a surface-to-air missile, a SAM storage area. I've got a couple big buildings down here, and I think it's full of SAMs and stuff, and that's your target." He said the problem is it's thick with AAA around here. And we were used to working with forward air controllers down in South Vietnam. Facts.
So to dumb it down for the rest of us.
So
thick with
AAA?
Yeah, what's that?
Oh, that's anti-aircraft.
Okay, sorry.
And so these guys, shoot bullets at you.
Yep.
And I've had guys shooting at before, and they kind of, you see it coming up, and that gets exciting when somebody's trying to put a bullet in your head. And so you maneuver around, you talk with forward air controllers, and these guys are flying in propeller airplanes, and they shoot rockets at the targets, and, say, hey, hit my target, or hit, 100 feet to the north or whatever.
Yeah.
So that's how we did there. So the Wolf Act says, okay, I cannot slow down to fire at him, rocket at him. So I'm going to go speed of heat down there at treetop level, and you're just going to see the guns come up, and there's going to be a lot of them. After I get through there, I'll give you the relationship to the targets to where the guns are. And the guns they're shooting are ZSU 23-4s. They are big-ass bullets, and they come out at a real rapid rate. And every sixth bullet is roughly lights on fire, so you as the gunner can see where it's going. But these ones are radar-guided. And so if you see a lot of bullets that are lit up, there's 5 of them in between there. So it's just real rapid fire. So anyway, this guy makes this high-speed pass through there, and the whole countryside just lights up. It just lit up. And he says, "Okay, Ratch, did you see that?" And he says, "Roger. We did." And he says, "Okay, and to get this target, you can't stay above 45. You're going to have to come down. And 4,500 feet, most AAA, we were going to be outside of. So he says, you're going to have to get down, mix it up with it." And so DC says, "Okay, Toop, fly my wing, one pass, haul ass. When I drop, you drop yours." So Al says, "Okay, Fred, I'm going to be trying to hang on his wing. You yell pickle when I may not see the bombs come off." I said, "Okay."
And this is your normal guy that you fly with all the time?
Al Thomas, yeah. We got a picture of him that may appear.
Yeah, we'll throw that up here.
Good guy. Great guy. And so we roll in, and to start with, it's not too bad. And then the AAA starts coming up, and I'm calling trip. If you want to think of at 10 o'clock, and we make calls out. So there's 12 o'clock's there, 1 o'clock's there, so 2 o'clock's there, 3. And you notice me having to think there? I just, to digress, I took a wax pencil on my canopy, and I wrote on the right a circle with a 1 and a circle with 2. I mean 3.
Yeah.
And I did that on every mission. I didn't want. See, I get screwed up. This is 3 and this is 9.
Yeah.
So now you understand.
I got where you were going.
12 o'clock, 1, 2, 3. And so guys knew when I'd been there because I wrote 3 and 9 on. When I saw Sam coming at me, I wanted to yell that he's coming at. I don't want to say he's coming at 9. So anyway.
Well, fuck! I messed that up. Hold on.
So as we're rolling in, I says, guns 2 o'clock, guns 2 o'clock, guns 10 o'clock, guns 3. I'm doing this, and finally he says, Raj 2, in this deep Raj, and poor Al's having trouble hanging the wing. We're rolling in, and about this time, the bullets are just coming up through our airplane, above them, below them, and around them. And as soon as DC says Raj 2, Al just settled down. Because he was on DC West Wing.
Because he knows,
the world's greatest fighter pilot.
Yeah.
Replaced by me later on. but he got settled down the wing. We're going down through it. And you guys have seen smoke on wind tunnels for airframes. They show that.
Yeah.
So it comes in and just comes up and goes over like that. That's what these bullets were like.
Oh.
It was just solid white and red all around us going over our wings. And so we went down through it. When the bombs come off, I yelled, pickle, pickle, and he did. The bombs all came off. We climbed out. We climbed up above the AAA, checked each other over. We had not taken a hit.
Really?
We went into orbit up above there, and this shit just started blowing up and going absolutely crazy.
Oh, nice.
And the Wolfpack was yelling and screaming. He says, it's Sam's. And you saw Sam start cooking off and blowing all over the place. We saw the fire and smoke billowing up for over 1,000 feet. Thousands of feet, over 10,000 feet. It was just a huge storage area. So as we're pulling off this target, as we're climbing out and went into an orbit there, it was just so exciting. So we joined up, flew back and landed, went in, did our debriefing, and told the intel people and debriefed the whole thing. Felt really good about it. We had done something that was going to save a lot of my friends. I love that.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
So then went into the squadron after signing that out, and there was a note there on the desk that says, Captain McMurray, report to Colonel Vest. I thought, oh, shit. I'm going to hear about it now.
Yeah.
I'm hearing about last night now. Oh, geez. And so I walked in and stood at attention and saluted and says, Sir, Captain McMurray reporting as ordered. And he says, Captain, did you learn anything last night? I said, sir, I guess a captain shouldn't call his squadron commander a weak dick. He said, Fred, great answer. Great mission. I'd like to take you to the club and buy you a beer. He said, would you like that? I said, yes, sir. And we headed over there, and then he and Al Thomas and DC's backseater and I went over there and drank a number of beers and talked about that mission. And so anyway, I just learned so much over that. As far as the combat part of it, as far as destroying your targets, as far as leadership, the whole thing. And again, just like you did before with the tiger teeth and the sticking together, and this mission and the way he reacted to me, we probably won't get into this, but I tried to reflect a lot of those things in my career.
Yeah.
So, yeah.
Kind of being able to separate the two of, hey, you can have your differences in the bar, but at the end of the day, when you got to go out there and fight for your lives, that's a whole different thing.
And things are coming up all the time, whether it's in life, whether it's in military, whether it's in combat, whether anything, there are a lot of things that are going to face you, but there are things you need to fall on your sword for.
Yeah. Yeah.
And you got to distinguish that. So.